Jeff Jazeski alongside Coach Kat Bixby getting ready for the women's basketball season. Kat, will start off, obviously, there's a lot missing from last year's team, a 23-win team, NCAA tournament. You lose 4 starters, 2 key reserves. We'll start there. What have you had to go through this offseason in terms of replacing them? What has to change, with 6 really role players, 6 very good players going out of the program and new blood coming in?
Yeah, it started actually in the spring when we knew the 7 seniors were moving on and we wanted to prepare right away. So we have excellent leadership. So let's think back to last spring. It was the juniors. So it was Ken's, Jess, and Maggie. And they prepared for that. So they got the team together last year before spring workouts and kind of talked about how are they going to make this team theirs. And they did an excellent job meeting with the returners before the 7 new first years got there and kind of talked about what will their legacy be. And in that spring meeting, they decided on hard work, and we've seen that, so some really great work ethic. We're obviously going to miss those 7 seniors quite a bit, but it was great that it started last year that they identified that, and they've been doing a great job this fall kind of working off of that momentum.
That's something that really always interests me to see where it comes from in terms of leadership. Is that something that the players really have to take on as their own? Is that something that you can kind of push them towards where they need to get to, or does it have to really come from them internally?
It's both. And I think what we do really well in our program is we give a lot of autonomy to our players in a way that we're kind of mentoring them on the side, and then we let them lead in their authentic way. But leaders need to learn how to lead. So we kind of use both that authentic leadership with some guidance. So this year we did name our captains, which again kind of started last spring with some of that senior leadership we saw, or soon to be senior leadership we saw with Jess, and then with Diarra as a sophomore, really excellent leadership. But I can't ignore the other seniors. I mean, they have done an excellent job, Maggie and Ken's, with leadership, as well as our juniors. They've done a great job taking it on their own, but also us kind of molding them to what will be authentic to them.
You mentioned Diarra Oden, a sophomore this year, the lone returning starter, started 20 games last year. She's named a team captain. She's a sophomore now, really has to join in on that leadership role. What have you liked that you've seen from her progression-wise from year to year?
Well, I mean, even last year we saw it. She sets the tone. She is such a leader by example. I mean, the intensity she brings to practices, it just, it emanates from her, and it's just absorbed by the team. She does such a good job holding her teammates accountable. Even just yesterday in practice, we were doing a defense drill, and she felt like her teammates weren't going as hard as they could, so she stopped the drill and asked them to push her harder by them playing harder. So a lot of it's lead by example. I think she's starting to find her voice as a sophomore this year. She's doing a great job with our lead program, our Blue Jays lead program. She's in the captain's cohort. She's also been meeting with us, with Jess, our other captain, and trying to find where she can speak up and use her voice instead of just lead by example.
With a lot of old faces going out, obviously a lot of new faces have to come in. You bring in 7 freshmen. What are your expectations for that group as a whole, not only for this season, but kind of leading into the future?
Well, a lot. I mean, it's 7 first years, and they're going to have to play. And we've seen that already with our scrimmage. The 2 got a lot of time, Emily and Haley. It's really their energy that they've brought. Our leadership, again, has been so incredible, and the first years have kind of just fallen in line with that. And because they're almost half our team, it's really important to have them following what the leaders want. So they've done a great job bringing intensity to practice, being great listeners. I mean, they're students of the game right now. They're learning totally new things. It's a new dynamic, and they've done a really good job observing, listening, learning, and being present in practice, which is really key because, again, it's more than half our team. Right.
Yeah, and again, so last year you had a clear identity, the Lillian Scotts, the Lexi Schultz, Rory Coles of the world. What has to change this year? What have you changed up? Obviously, you can't run everything the same way because those players just aren't there anymore.
Yeah. So again, it started last spring when the soon-to-be leaders kind of got the team together and figured out what their purpose was going to be. Obviously, there's a strong a tradition and legacy of excellence academically and athletically within the department, but with women's basketball. So how do they make their own story within that legacy? And a lot of it was just around hard work and showing up to everything and being committed to each other. And we've seen a lot of that this year. Not that the team didn't have that last year, but we've seen a real kind of 1 through 16 commitment to each other and to work ethic and to pushing each other. Practices have been really intense. So we're still working on that identity piece. I mean, our first game Friday will definitely start to kind of show what can we be this year, and we'll continue to work through it as the year goes on. But I do think that kind of work ethic, that kind of blue collar, which is different here. I'm more of a finesse coach, but I think we have more of a blue collar attitude this year.
And lastly, you got to see him play once in the scrimmage against Stevenson, but what are you as a coach most excited to see come Friday night when you actually get to play a real, meaningful game?
Again, it's kind of figuring out that identity. We're not playing ourselves, which will be excellent because we're really anticipating a lot of our sets right now in our practices. You can tell our defense is cheating. So it'll be great to see how our offense looks against a different team. I think challenging our team to be patient and to approach games with kind of this one day at a time attitude as we continue to figure out who we're going to be this year.
Well, we're very excited for the season to get underway. Friday night, the season kicks off. Good luck.
Thanks.